afternoon, everybody. Just seeing who's in. It looks like a few people are still trying to jump in, so I'll wait a little bit. Yeah, let's see here. I'm trying to get it open on my computer too so I can see everybody that's in. Because mine is only saying, it looks like it's only you, Emily. That's it. I know some people will start coming in within the next couple of minutes, though. Are you all good, Emily? I saw that I emailed you back the systems one. So hopefully you having the equations would make it a little bit easier for you to solve. But yeah, I think you should be okay as far as that goes. Oh, there you are, Hannah. It's not showing that you're inside the room. So there must be some other people in here that's just not popping up. Yeah, it's saying it's you, and then there's just some bot that came in here and is watching us. I have to ban him. I just banned him. Oh, alright. Alright. This is still 6. So it's still lesson number 6. We're just doing the second page from what we did yesterday. So we're going to finish up 6. We'll start 7 tomorrow, and then we'll finish 7 on Thursday, and that's all we're doing this week. Because I don't plan on teaching on Friday with you guys because there are still, we got Good Friday. So it's still considered a holiday, and I'm not going to make anybody work on a holiday. Unfortunately, we'll still have to do some lessons next week, but I'll probably do the same thing. We'll only work Monday through Thursday, and then we'll have Friday off. But I guess it's just you two, so I'll go through these 2 questions. These 2 questions are going to be kind of similar to what we did yesterday. At least number 4 will be. And then number 5 is just talking about how to find domain when you're doing a fraction versus a square root. So it shouldn't take us too long today. And then I'm going to pop up the homework, and I just want to give you guys a hint on one of the questions on the homework. So number 4, I'll read through it because I know you guys love your word problems. It says an environmental study of a certain commodity or of a certain community suggests that the average daily level of carbon monoxide in the air will be C of P equals 0.5 P plus 1 parts per million when the population is P 1,000. It is estimated that T years from now, the population of the community will be P of T, blah, 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 1,000. So when you guys look at the first part, it says express the level of carbon monoxide in the air as a function of time. So if you're looking at the variables that we have in this problem, we have C, P, and T. So we have the little C right here, and that C was just talking about carbon monoxide. We have P, which just stands for the population. And we also have, and P is technically twice because we also have a P right there inside that equation. And then the last part we have is T, which T is representing years. So those are the 3 things. They want us to write this answer as a function of time. So that means the final answer has to have T inside of it. So I'm going to show you guys a little trick for figuring out this final function. So I'm just going to rewrite the 2 functions underneath. So we had C of P is equal to 0.5 P plus 1. And we also have P of T, which is equal to 10 plus 0.1 T squared. So if you look at those 2 functions that we have, they both share a letter, and the letter that they share is this P. Those P's are the same. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take that answer for P. We know what P is equal to. P is equal to this entire thing right here. So I'm just going to take that and plug it right in. And if we plug it in, we have our answer, and then we're done. So if I substitute it in, I'm going to have C of 10 plus 0.1t squared. And if I'm plugging it in for that P, I have to plug it in for the other P as well. So 0.5 times 10 plus 0.1t squared plus 1. And then all I'm going to do is simplify down that right side by distributing the 0.5 in. 0.5 is the same thing as saying 1/2. So if I do 1/2 of 10, that's really just going to be 5. And then I could do 1/2 of 0.1, which is really just going to be 0.05 t squared plus 1. And then we can combine like terms, and 5 plus 1 would give us 6. So when you are solving this, the goal is to try and set up or try and find the letters that match. Since it was P's that matched, it was telling us we needed to substitute P into the equation. Now that we did all of this, we now just solved it. We solved carbon monoxide in terms of time, in terms of the number of years. So now when you guys go to the second question, it says, when will the carbon monoxide level reach 6.8 parts per million? Well, now we have our equation. We can just take this 6.8 parts per million and we can plug it in. Now, it's asking us when the carbon monoxide will reach 6.8. So you have to make sure you're plugging it into the right side. So the 6.8, since this is carbon monoxide, that means we're plugging it in for the C. So this question is saying 6.8 equals 6 plus 0.05 t squared. Oh, I forgot a 0. 0.05 t squared. So all I did was just take the 6.8 and I plugged it in for that C. Now we would have to solve it, and I'm not going to go about solving the whole thing. I was just showing you guys where you have to substitute it in. In order to solve it, I'm just going to show you guys 2 more steps, and I'm just going to cut it from there. What you would have to do, because we have the t squared, we have to set it equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract that 6.8 over to the other side. And if we do that, we're going to have 0 is equal to, I'm going to put the t squared first. Actually, can we solve this out? Oh, I lied. I'm not going to do it this way. I was looking at my plus sign. I looked at this plus sign right here and I thought it was a T. But I do my T with the little curls, so I confused myself. So I'm going to subtract the 6 over to the other side. This one's actually a lot easier to solve. I thought we had to use the quadratic formula, but we don't need to. And that's going to give us 0.8 is equal to 0.05 t squared. So I got to get that t squared all by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by 0.05. Let's see what that comes out to be. 0.8 divided by 0.05 comes out to be 16. Oh, wow. Look at how nice this works out. Now, we just have to square root both sides. And if we square root 16, we're going to get 4. Now, technically, you get 2 answers here. You get a positive 4 and you get a negative 4. Oh my gosh, I'm a mess right now. However, we only care about the positive number because we're talking about the number of people, the number of parts per million, and we can't have negative because you can't have negative people, you can't have negative parts. So really, we only cared about the positive answer here. So we can just say 4 is equal to t. So that one was probably the longest. It definitely was longest because when we go to do number 5A and B, these are going to be very, very quick. It's just making sure you know the difference between the rules in both of them. So I know it's still just you two. It doesn't look like anybody else joined up. So if you guys got a question, don't be afraid to speak up. I did do one question like it on the homework, but I'll point it out in a second when I go to go over the homework. As far as the bottom ones go, there's two different things I have to talk about with you guys. For one, when you do fractions, there was something that I taught you guys going all the way back to Algebra 2, possibly even going back all the way to Algebra 1, your freshman year. We talked about when we have fractions, you're not allowed to have this bottom, the x minus 3, equals 0. So when you have fractions, the bottom cannot equal 0. And the reason why is if we do set it equal to 0, that means that it's going to be undefined because we're not allowed to divide by 0. So anytime you see a question that says find the domain, they're telling you to find the x values that make it so this fraction does not work. Well, what I'm going to do then is just look at the bottom and set it equal to 0. So I'm just going to say x minus 3 is equal to 0. And this is a very easy one to solve because I wasn't giving anything complicated. So I'm just going to move the 3 over to the other side. And I have x equals 3. This is not allowed to happen. So I'm just going to put a line through it. X cannot equal 3 because otherwise, if I were to plug it in up here, it's going to say 1 over 3 minus 3, which is 1 over 0. And you guys cannot do 1 divided by 0 because your calculators will say error. It will say you cannot divide by 0. So we found that answer. We just have to write it in curly bracket form. And we haven't written it down like this in quite some time, so I'll guide you guys through it. It looked like this. I'm going to write it all out and then I'll explain it in words. So what this is saying is that all answers for x work. This line is like but. So it says all x's work but or except x cannot equal 3. So you can plug in any other x value and you'll be okay. All right. So we didn't do those for a little while. I mean, we definitely did in Algebra 2. We did a little bit at the beginning of this school year, but we didn't do crazy amounts. So, okay, Hannah remembers it, so that's good. Hopefully Emily remembers it too. As far as part B goes, it's going to be similar but different at the same time because now we're talking about square roots. And if you have square roots, 0 is okay in square roots because you can do the square root of 0. When you do square roots, you're not allowed to have negatives. So there's no negatives in a square root. And the reason why is if we do put a negative under there, that means you're going to get those imaginary numbers. So we can solve with them, but the answer is not real. So we would just call it an imaginary solution. So in order to figure out all the numbers that do work, we have to take our square root of x minus 2. And actually, we don't even need the square root. We're just looking at what's on the inside. We're just looking at that x minus 2. So we're just going to take that x minus 2, and we know it cannot be negative. So that means it has to be a positive number. Well, positive numbers are always going to be larger than 0. Technically, a square root can be equal to 0 because if you do the square root of 0, that is still 0, which is an answer. So that's okay. So now I'm just going to put down a line underneath that greater than. From here, you're just solving it like we did over on the left side. Now you're just getting x all by itself, and you'll have x is greater than or equal to 2. So again, if we were to write it in the curly bracket form, it's going to look just like the left side. So I'll do my little squiggly bracket. I'm going to put in my x, except x has to be greater than or equal to 2. We don't have to put a line through it or anything because it's saying the x value has to be larger than that 2. It could be equal to as well, because if you plug in a 2 up here, you'll have 2 minus 2, which is 0, and square root of 0 is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just any negative number is not okay. So that's all I want to do for the lesson today. It was just those 3 questions. I hope the bottom ones look a little bit familiar. Obviously, the top part was... We may have done like 1 question with the top part last year, but we didn't really do word problems with composition. But other than that, the only thing I wanted to show was, as far as homework number 6 goes, you'll notice that I have a lot of similar questions to that lesson. Like the first one is talking about the domain of that fraction. Number 2 talks about the range. So I just want to know all the y values that work. So my suggestion for this one is graph it. If you graph it, it will be very, very easy to see how to find the y's. Number 3 was like a question on the front page. Number 4 was like a question on the front page. Number 5 was like a question on the front page. Let's see here. 6 was like a question we just did. That was like on the back page, that little word problem. So give it a shot. And my hint is, if you look at this, you should see that you have q's that are the same. So you have to plug the one equation into the other and then simplify it down. And then the very last one was what we did yesterday, but I put down the little hint for you. It says compute the cost for the 20th unit. Anytime you're looking for a specific unit, it just means that you're going to find the answer for that number. So we got to find the answer for 20 and then subtract 1 away from it. So we also have to find the answer for 19. And then you're just going to take those 2 answers, subtract them, and you'll have your final solution. Okay. So I'm leaving it right there. Jenna, I saw you just joined. If you missed the first part, you might have been in here. I don't know. I just saw that I have 3 viewers now. I finished up the back page. If you want to see like the guide of me going through each step, as soon as I end this, you'll be able to rewind back and watch the whole thing. Okay? But if you guys don't have any questions for me, that's all I got. Just remember, I don't have to worry about you guys. You guys have been good about getting your homeworks in. I just haven't had the opportunity to look at them because I'm more focused on the people that aren't doing them. That in a way I'm kind of punishing you guys for the people that are doing them. So long story short, I know you guys are good. As long as you're turning them in, I'll take a look at them and I'll try to grade something and send it back so you can see if you're doing everything okay. But I'm not worried about you guys. You guys should be fine. Okay? So if you guys don't have anything, I don't have anything. Enjoy the rest of your evening. It might still be a little nice outside, but they're calling for some rain. So get outside if you can. Yeah, if you get confused with anything, Hannah, feel free. Email me or stop by during that office hour tomorrow because you know I'll be here. Yeah, just jump in. You can ask questions on there and you'll be fine. All right. Well, you guys have a good one then, and I will catch you guys later.